Welcome to the underground, you rebel scum. This is the American Expat, and today we're going to be doing a little experiment to see what happens when you take a 60-year-old lens and combine it with a modern mirrorless camera. What sort of results is that going to produce in the form of pictures and video, that sort of thing? And to find out, I have this Minolta MC W Rokkor HG 35mm lens from the 1960s that we're going to be combining with my Sony A7 IV, which is from recently, sort of. We're going to put them together and see what happens when we take it out into the field and try to take photos with it. So let's grab a cup of coffee and get to it. Thanks for sticking with us. Before we get too far into the video, I want to encourage you and remind you that the like button does live down below this video, whatever platform you happen to be watching it on. Maybe do us a favor and go down there and click on that like button. It'll help us out in the long run to have some engagement. I mean, you don't have to hit the like button. If you don't like it, by all means, hit the thumbs down. Whatever you want to do, I would appreciate it either way. So, you may be asking yourself, why on earth would you want to take that ancient lens and put it on your new camera? Well, I mean, to be honest with you, it's because I have this lens and I have this camera, and I'm curious what it's going to do. But besides that, I have seen all over the internet all these people trying to chase the film look, you know, and without doing... I want to let them in on a little secret. You just get a film camera and use film and you'll get the film look. But just the same, they say in some cases that if you use these vintage lenses, you will get that look that everyone is chasing, which must mean that it's not actually the film look, it's the vintage look. I'm somewhat doubtful that putting an old lens like this on a modern mirrorless camera is going to result in the film look, but just the same, we're going to find out by combining this ancient Minolta lens, the MC W Rokkor HG 35 with my A7 IV. Using this little nifty device that I got on Amazon, it's an adapter. Which, by the way, if you get vintage lenses, they can be pretty cheap. You can get one of these for pretty much whatever camera you think of or whatever you happen to have, and you can put these old vintage lenses on your camera and take, well, we'll see what kind of pictures it's going to result in here in a minute. Now, to start off, this lens is very different from your modern, full of electronics lenses. It's got quite a name, too, MC W Rokkor. I'd love to tell you who MC W Rokkor is, but it's not actually a name. The different letters on there, MC stands for meter coupled, the W stands for wide angle, and Rokkor, well, that's just what I guess the people at Minolta decided that sounded awesome, so they put that on their lenses so that people say, wow, awesome. Now, the HG refers to the number of elements and groups within this lens, which is apparently 6 elements. I don't know how they managed to fit 6 elements into this little tiny thing. I guess it tells you just how much electronics are actually in there. When you look at it here compared with the my modern 35mm lens, it's pretty incredible. They fit all that in there, but they did. Of course, that means you sacrifice in other areas like that. Obviously, there's no stabilization of any kind. There's no autofocus to speak of. Everything is done manually. So, as I said, I'm going to be attaching this MC W Rokkor HG 35mm f2.8 lens to my Sony A7 IV using this little adapter that I got on Amazon, which once again, if you get one of these, whatever camera you have, you can get one of these little adapter things and attach these old lenses to your, I mean, assuming that you, whatever amount you want, whatever amount you have, you can find an adapter for it. So let's go ahead and get this attached. And what say you we take this out into the wild and see how well it does? You can tell by the shakiness that this is being filmed with our 35mm Rokkor lens. Before we get any further, though, I'm going to stop off and get some more caffeine. For this set of photos, I'm headed to Coonskin Park. There is a nice trail that follows the Elk River. It makes a great morning walk, and I think it's going to provide some great photo opportunities to test this lens. Someone left the lights on at the pavilion. Trees and water, nice. The hill seems to come down at a parallel angle to the trees on the other side, soft image. I like the way this side trail wraps around this little hill. Nice. It's very green in here, and it really shows with this lens. This part was an old rail line. The tracks are a bit overgrown, as you can see. I promised a viewer that I would get a panning shot. I think the city is the best place for me to attempt it. I'm at 1/30th of a second. Well, I tried. And we're back. Well, what did you think? Did it produce film-like results? Did it look nice? Was there anything unusual in the photos that you noticed as a result of this vintage lens? I have to be honest with you. I found it very difficult. This is my fault. It's not the fault of the lens. If you know anything about digital cameras, these fancy mirrorless things, they have something called zebras that you use when you're trying to focus, usually in video, not using manual focus stuff. It helps you to know what's exposed or if it's exposed properly and if you've got, what in focus. Well, I left that on. So when I was trying to focus, everything just went like white with a bunch of dancing lines everywhere. Yeah, that made it difficult. I probably should have turned that off. So yeah, you saw some of the photos were not in focus. The things that I wanted in focus were not. Turn off the zebras if you're going to do this. It might help when you're doing manual focus. I also noticed the colors were a little bit different. Maybe you guys noticed this. You'll have to tell me. It seemed like there was a little bit more magenta in there. Some of the greens really came through as very, very green. I didn't change the color. I made it a point not to adjust colors and things in the photos, just so I could get the most exact, like this is what this lens produced without me changing anything or adjusting anything really. So you can see the results. Did you notice that? The magenta shift in some of the images? It's kind of interesting. What did you think of the video, by the way? Using that 35mm lens on the camera to do video. Not a very practical thing when you're trying to film yourself. Again, the zebras became an issue because, well, I couldn't see. If you're putting it in infinite focus, maybe it helps, but it gets soft around the edges. There's some qualities to these old lenses that come through, but did it give it a vintage look? I don't know. I guess it kind of looked like a vintage look, like as if you had no stabilization and that sort of thing. It gives it a vintage look, like the whole world is shaking around and all of that. Pretty good anyway. I was pleased somewhat with the photos. I'm sure that I can figure it out a little bit better when we try another one of these vintage lenses to see what it's like. And don't worry, I've got another film camera that we're going to be reviewing here in the next video. I just need to get the film developed, and that'll be exciting coming up soon. But for now, I better end this and get back to it. I guess we'll see you guys in the next one. ไฟพะวงหลงเฝ้าสาวเจ้าบางประกงทางห้วยงงหลงเกอหาโอเวรกรรมจำพราก